I love that. Looking delicious, looking good, just like the food you create, Chef Dumi. Shout out to you. Now, steak, coffee, and cheese may sound like a random selection of ingredients, but if there were just a few of your favorite things, then you do not want to miss out on this recipe. Our coffee crust steak with the elite taste of clover cheese in a delectable sauce is one for the books. Now, Chef Dion, Romeo, talk us through this recipe. What do we need?
Okay, cool. So what we have here is some beautiful thick rump steaks. Got some salt and pepper to season it, and then Romeo's going to make the coffee crust for us. He's got a bit of freshly ground coffee beans. There's a bit of paprika over there, some onion powder, and a touch of brown sugar. And then if you can get the cheese cut for us for the cheese sauce.
Got you.
Make a salad. You play around with it.
No, what I love about this is that essentially the flexibility of these ingredients that you've put across to us sounds absolutely amazing. It's something that I think a lot of people might have in their homes anyway. But when it's come together, hey, I'm not sure. What can I expect from this?
I think it's pretty nice because the thing is the coffee gives it this little earthy sort of lacquered umami flavor to the actual meat. So it has a really good reaction with it and creates a whole different dimension of flavor with it.
Love that.
So,
I see you also patting down your steak.
Importantly, just make sure that your steak is dry. Before you start cooking your steak, make sure that you bring it to room temperature. So the internal temperature is not ice cold. Because that affects the even cooking process of your steak while you're busy cooking it. So dab it dry, and then I just want to season it with a bit of salt and pepper. I'm not going to put the crust on now, because the crust will sort of burn in the pan if we put it on now at the moment. So liberally. The important thing with steak is even don't be shy with salt, because you want it to sort of penetrate right through the actual meat and give you that full flavor and bring out natural flavors of it.
Now, something that's also very interesting to me, I mean, and I'm sure for yourself, Romeo, it's something you have to kind of pay attention to. As soon as you hear the word coffee, I'm sure you've almost put coffee in every type of drink, but have you ever tried to incorporate coffee in your cooking?
Not really. Yeah, but there was one point where I tried a little bit of cooking with chili. We were at barista competitions. A lot of people loved it, but it was like a good different thing, like coffee with chili, a little bit of sugar. So yeah, it was lovely. But that was my first time, and that was the last. So now I'm here. It's actually something coming back to me again.
I love that. Another thing that I'm so obsessed with when it comes to this recipe is just the cheese of it all. If you know me, you know I love myself some cheese. So right now I'm cutting into some Clover cheddar cheese. And what I love about this cheese is that you can use the feta, you can use the cheddar, you can use the Gouda, whatever cheese you like. And that's what's so brilliant about it. So I'm going to just break it up into pieces, as you can see, and break up those pieces into the feta. And how's it going that side, Chef?
It's going well. So I literally just want to put your steak on the fat side first. There's nothing more beautiful than a nice, crispy fat outer with your beautiful, well-rested steak. Once the fat is nice and rendered and a bit crispy, I'm going to turn it on and start searing it on each side. Just a tip, when you're cooking your steak, you could sort of use your hand. So if you touch the inner palm here, it's sort of rare. And then if you go to medium rare, medium well, and well done. So it's a very easy way of sort of testing the temperature of your steak if you don't have a meter thermometer.
Nice.
In the meantime, I'm going to start with the beautiful cheese sauce. So let's just get our butter into a medium low heated pan. We don't want to burn the butter or sort of turn it to burn rosette, because we want to have a nice white roux. And the roux is sort of the thickening agent for the cheese sauce.
Love that. It's truly a masterclass here today, taking us step by step through this ingredient and through this recipe. This is for your cheese sauce. And what I also love about this is that the cheese sauce that we are creating today, you can use it for any type of protein or any other type of savory dish.
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, this cheese sauce will go really nice with sort of like a baked fish dish, or if you're serving it with like a chicken supreme. I mean, cheese sauce goes with almost anything. Breadsticks, down in there, it's perfect, yeah.
And I also have some greenery here. I've got some rocket, baby spinach, and I also have some tomatoes. And this is just to have that side.
It's an accompaniment, yeah. But you know, we're South Africans, so you put a piece of steak on a plate, that's all you need.
I could go crazy. Are you much of a meat eater yourself, Romeo?
I love meat. I love my meat.
You'd be lying if you wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've added the milk and some chicken stock to the roux, and I've like to just cook the roux. It is a nice sort of blonde roux, not colored much, so we get this clean flavor and the cheese sort of comes through, which is the most important thing of the sauce. At this point, my chef's sixth sense is telling me that the fat is perfectly crispy.
Is that what we're looking for?
That's what we're looking for. Okay, so let's just give it, turn it on each side, and we want to give it a beautiful sear. Just note that the pan is very high because we want to get that sort of Maillard reaction. It's that caramelization of the natural minerals and sugars in the meat that gets released, and it sort of like agitates with the heat and gives it a beautiful crust. And that's what the human sort of mind enjoys when it eats. It's that lacquered caramelization on the actual meat.
Beautiful.
You okay with the crust?
Already.
Perfect. I told you it's not going to be difficult.
Now I see. But I'm enjoying the way you're doing with the steak, eh?
The important thing with your steak as well is, I know it's just human nature to sort of play around with things, but just leave it alone. Once it's in the pan, you've turned it, allow it to sort of cook because you want to get that caramelization on it. If you move it around too many times, you sort of mess around with the heated spots in your pan. So at this point, you'll sort of see it gets a lot of moisture on the top of your steak, which also gives you an indication that you should be turning it.
Okay.
There we go.
Love it.
So what I normally do with my steaks, I'll sort of cook it 10 seconds on each side and then sort of turn it around as well. So if you look at your steak from here, you get this even cooking from both sides. And then eventually it meets to the middle and we leave it to rest. The resting is also very important for your steaks because while the heat is agitating your steak, it releases a lot of those minerals and juices in the steak. And we want it to rest. And when you rest it, it sort of retracts all back into the steak and gives it a beautiful pink rested center.
And that's what I like about steak so much. That bounce back when it comes to, you know, when you dive into that steak and make sure that that meat is nice and succulent, it's ready for action. And is this ready for the cheese?
You can see the consistency of the white sauce is perfect at this point, and we can just lay the cheese in.
Wow, love this. Super simple, super easy. Romeo, do you think you can try this at home?
I'll try if I have all the ingredients, but if I don't, I won't.
Look at it.
Lovely. And as I am whipping together this cheese sauce, I just want to remind all South Africans out there that if you're feeling just a little indulgent and you want to play with this recipe, you can try the different Clover cheeses from Gouda, Tussers and cheddar. Essentially, the cheese sauce that we're making here today is suitable for any savory dish. Yes, King, add that coffee. That's what I'm talking about.
Crust now in the end. Because we don't want to sort of overcook the crust as well. We want that clean coffee flavor to come through.
Yeah. Beautiful. As you're whipping that up, just plate it deliciously as you do so wonderfully. The cheese sauce here, I'm not going to allow the cheese to completely melt. Can
That's
we switch this
absolutely
off?
perfect at this point.
Okay, perfect.
The thing with your cheese as well, if you overcook it, it becomes grainy
Yeah,
and gritty and you
no.
don't want it.
Okay, so I'm leaving some...
There's enough residual heat in there to sort of like temper it and melt it now completely.
Love that, love that. Romeo, can you just recap for us that coffee mixture that you created?
Yes.
What type of coffee did you use? I said it was a lot more finer. Is it that instant coffee? And what did you add?
No, this was the filter coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, like our filter coffee, freshly grounded by me this afternoon. The fact that it's going to be a little bit cooked in the steak, I think, like Chef Jen said, it's going to release the aromas and flavors into the meat through the heating. So I can't wait to taste that. And he's doing well. I learned a little bit of what he was doing with his palm about cooking.
Did you see that? No?
Yeah, I did see that.
Because if you feel it at this point here, we kind of at a medium.
Okay. Well, on that note, medium rare note, thank you so much. We're going to be putting the finishing touches on this, but it's nothing but elite quality and elite taste. Just head over to afternoonexpress.co.za to get this recipe.
Okay, you're going to take it off now.
Clover cheese is for those who love life, where everything falls into place and melts away our cares, adding joy and stretching our imagination. Clover, for the love of cheese.
Made with love by Clover.